Do you remember that famous slogan, Diomaye is Sonko, Sonko is Diomaye? A revolutionary duo that swept to power in 2024, promising to break the old colonial chains. The youth adored them, and for a moment, it felt like the dawn of a new era in Senegalese politics. But the fairy tale has collapsed. On May 22, 2026, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye signed a decree sacking his mentor, Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, and dissolving the entire government. Just hours earlier, Sonko had openly criticized Faye in a parliamentary session, exposing the deep ideological rift that had been building for months. The trigger: two completely opposite visions for how to handle Senegal's crushing economic weight.
Thank God, for us Sonko supporters, this is what we expected. Ousmane Sonko has achieved more than any other minister in the history of Senegal. We will be prouder than ever to stand by his side. Bassirou Diomaye Faye behaved immaturely. This dismissal is rather unsettling. I was surprised to hear the news. The announcement was sudden. This isn't a good thing for the country. The country needs jobs, not politics. Many Senegalese had been waiting for this. The president is the one who makes appointments. It's his prerogative to dismiss and to appoint. I think that if it's for the good of the country, then this is what we should do. Now,
here is where the real tension lies. After the new government took over, an audit uncovered a staggering more than $7 billion in hidden debt left behind by the previous administration. Some estimates even put the hidden figure closer to $11 billion. This pushed Senegal's total debt-to-GDP ratio to a terrifying 132%. The International Monetary Fund immediately froze its $1.8 billion lending program, and international investors started betting that Senegal would default. President Faye chose the pragmatic and deeply painful path: negotiate with the IMF and implement tough austerity measures. Ousmane Sonko, on the other hand, refused to bend. He called the IMF conditions a disgrace. He wanted the hero's path: default on nothing, finance everything domestically, and never bow to Western creditors. These two men could not reconcile those paths. And on May 22nd, President Faye fired his Prime Minister to take direct control of the IMF negotiations.
Yes, Senegal, as a Minister of Justice, we need to work towards really re-establishing the rule of law. As you know, between 2021 and 2024, Senegal has gone through very difficult crisis, political crisis. This political crisis was created because of the former president who wanted to do a third term. And the people, especially the political party PASTEF, led by Ousmane Sonko, who is now our prime minister, resisted. And the prime minister was prevented from running, and he chose the secretary general of the party to be the candidate, because the whole country was saying, just point out who do you want to be the candidate, and we'll vote for him. And it was Bassirou Diomaye Faye who became our president. So Senegal has gone through a very difficult moment, traumatic moment where young people were killed, many people were incarcerated, but also traumatic economic crisis where the past regime has borrowed a lot of money that was hidden from the books, and today is putting a high level of indebtedness, a high level of service payment on the economy. So we are now trying to bring justice. By doing what? By ensuring that all those who were responsible of crime against humanity, who are responsible of crime of young people, of torture, be brought to justice. And we will do it with very much fairness. This is not going to be witch hunting, but we want to make sure that investigations are done in a very independent manner, and those responsible be brought to justice.
But here is the shocking twist. Just 4 days after being fired, on May 26, 2026, Sonko's PASTEF party, which still controls an absolute majority, 130 out of 165 seats, in Parliament, elected him as the new Speaker of the National Assembly. He received 132 votes in a near-unanimous victory. As Speaker, Sonko now controls the legislative agenda. He can block budget approvals, delay policies, and make life extremely difficult for President Faye's new technocratic Prime Minister, Amadou Al-Aminou Lo, a former central banker. What makes the situation delicate is that President Faye cannot dissolve Parliament until November 2026, at least 2 years after the last election. So, for the rest of the year, Sonko effectively holds veto power over the government's decisions from inside the parliament. Some are already calling this a dual power structure, one that could paralyze Senegal during a severe economic crisis. Sonko even announced that his party will not participate in the new cabinet, raising the real prospect of political gridlock.
Mr. Ousmane Sonko, having obtained 132 votes, is elected president of the National Assembly of Senegal.
Now, why does this internal power struggle matter for the entire region? Because President Faye was also given a delicate diplomatic mission to convince the 3 breakaway military-led states of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, to return to the ECOWAS fold. But the window for reconciliation is rapidly closing. On the weekend of the last ECOWAS summit, the AES juntas met in Niamey and adopted a treaty establishing the Confédération des États du Sahel, a parallel confederation with its own unified military force and joint passport. The military leader of Niger, General Abdourahmane Tiani, made the junta's position crystal clear. Our people have irrevocably turned their backs on ECOWAS. He accused the regional bloc of being a puppet of foreign powers, specifically France, and declared the AES the only effective grouping in the fight against terrorism in the Sahel. ECOWAS President Omar Aliou Touré has warned that this breakaway risks the disintegration of the bloc and will worsen regional insecurity. But with the juntas consolidating their power and moving closer to Russia, the prospect of reunification looks increasingly bleak.
The Niamey meeting of the military leaders of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger officially marked the trio's exit from the West African bloc ECOWAS. The summit concluded with the signing of a treaty establishing the Alliance of Sahel States Confederation.
Our people have irrevocably turned their backs on ECOWAS. It is up to us to make the Confederation Alliance of Sahel States an alternative to any artificial regional grouping by building a sovereign community of people, a community distant from control of foreign powers, a community of peace, solidarity, and prosperity based on our African values.
Looking ahead, many analysts believe this crisis is not just about current governance. It's about the 2029 presidential election. Sonko was barred from running in 2024 due to a criminal conviction, but that bar is expected to expire before the next election. He is widely seen as the most likely challenger to President Faye's re-election bid. The battle for control of the powerful PASTEF party has already begun. While Sonko was re-elected as party leader on June 6, 2026 with unanimous support, Faye is trying to build a parallel power base around his new prime minister. The country is bracing for what could become an open rupture of the once united ruling party. So, here is the big question for all of us watching. Can Senegal survive this perfect storm? A divided government at home, a splintering region, a suffocating debt crisis, and the looming prospect of a political war in 2029. The stakes could not be higher, and we will be watching every step of the way. If you believe that African voices need to tell African stories without taking sides but with facts and context, then subscribe to Voice of Africa, hit the bell so you never miss an update, share this video with someone who needs to understand what is really happening in Senegal and the Sahel, and comment below, where are you watching from? Dakar, Nairobi, Lagos, Johannesburg, London, New York. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and never stop asking the hard questions.